Thomas's merry birthday. Solomon had only been working on the Fat Controller's railway for a few months, but he had already learned the main line like the back of his buffers. He grew quite fond of all the engines he met, but none more so than Thomas. Him and Thomas shared many views and opinions on pretty much everything and anything. When Solomon stopped at Thomas's junction, him and Thomas wouldn't stop talking, so much so that once they had to force Solomon to get moving in fear of them being late. But as the days got shorter and colder, Solomon couldn't help but notice Thomas grew sadder and sadder. He saw him one day and decided to ask him about it. Thomas, sorry if this sounds intrusive, but Thomas quickly spoke up. "Oh, don't worry," he said, putting on a feeble smile. "It's just that I don't like the snow." Solomon knew something was wrong, but before he could ask any questions, the guard whistle blew and he had to go. Later that day at the sheds, he spoke with Henry and Gordon about it. "It's because of Christmas," Gordon said. "Christmas?" replied Solomon. "Why would Christmas, of all things, make him so sad?" "Well, if you let me finish. Anyway, you see, Thomas was built around Christmas, and this year marks his 10th birthday. And since we usually use Christmas Day to get rid of the backlog of goods that piles up during the winter, we never really find the time to give him a true birthday party." "Well, that's just criminal," snapped Solomon. "And his 10th birthday, too."
"It is a shame," Henry said mournfully, "but there's nothing we can do about it."
The engines sat in silence, hoping one of them would come up with an idea. Then Solomon's face lit up. "Gordon, Henry, you know what makes this year different from all the others?" Henry and Gordon looked confused. "What makes it different?" they asked. "Well, you didn't have me before, and the goods work can't pile up if I work through it before Christmas." Henry scoffed.
"You would hardly manage it. You might be bigger than James and Edward, but you're still smaller than me and Gordon."
"Oh, as if a couple trucks are any match for Brighton Steel," he said. Gordon and Henry rolled their eyes, but someone didn't care. He had a plan, and he was going to do everything in his power to make it come true. The next day, someone told everyone up and down the main line about his plan for Thomas. "But keep it a secret," he would say. For the next couple of weeks, someone would find himself taking mile-long goods trains 10 the first up and down the main line. Meanwhile, whenever the other engines would find time, they'd go to the sheds at the big station to set up decorations and lights. It was hard work, but none of them cared. They all knew that in the end it would all be worth it. Everything was going well, or so they thought. The turntable at the other end of the line was jammed. That meant James was stuck and couldn't take his passengers. Soon the news reached Thomas, who was tasked to take his passengers all the way to the big station. "Oh well," he thought, "maybe a good long run is what I need." And so he set off for the big station, where the engines were still putting up the decorations. Solomon and Henry were shunting trucks around when an out-of-breath foreman told them Thomas was coming. Henry gasped. "Don't worry," replied Solomon. "I have an idea. Just go hide in the shed." And so he did. Later, Thomas arrived and was heading for the sheds, looking forward to a nice long rest, but soon found someone blocking the way. "Why, Solomon, bother letting me in?" he asked. "Sorry, Thomas, I can't let you in." "And why is that?" Thomas was confused. "Well, there's no easy way to say it." Thomas was starting to get annoyed. "Just tell me then." Solomon sighed. "Poor Henry. Today he took on some bad water and, well, he's getting his tubes cleaned." Thomas felt silly. "Oh, I see. Sorry." "Oh, don't worry," comforted Solomon. "You can always rest in the coach shed. It's empty right now, since most of the coaches are out on the main line." After resting for half an hour, Thomas went back to his branch line, leaving a relieved Solomon and a very embarrassed Henry. The next day, Thomas was called down to the big station once more. "It's an emergency," said his driver. "We need to go down there immediately. We also need to take Annie and Clarabelle with us." Thomas wasted no time making his way down the line. It was dark by the time they got to the big station. Thomas slowly creeped his way to the sheds. His fireman opened the door, but it was dark. He could hear faint giggling and whispering. And then the lights came on, and everyone was there. "Surprise!" yelled the other engines. Thomas smiled from tank to tank. He almost felt like crying. Someone spoke up. Engines, gentlemen, coaches, I would like to raise a toast. His driver brought out a large bucket. To our dear friend Thomas. The engines laughed. Thomas went onto the turntable and back down on the berth next to Solmon's. So, this is why I kept seeing you running up and down the line with goods trains, eh? Someone smiled. Indeed. Thomas asked, I'm very grateful for all of this, but, why did you do it? I mean, I don't think I'm worth all the effort. Plus, you must be worn out. Someone scoffed. No, I'm not. And even if I was, seeing you smile again was more than worth it. Now, enough of that. How about we enjoy ourselves? And so they did, well into the night.